ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हुकुम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम् परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining in. I know we are meeting after a couple of weeks, so we actually finished to 65 and we were supposed to start 66, but 65 Priyosumi. In this thing, Krishna says, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So, actually, fortunately, this is a beautiful conversation which happened between Krishna and Arjuna, but by mercy of our Acharya, somehow we are able to tap into that. And Krishna is revealing the most important secret. What is he saying? How do we get to Krishna? How do we go back to Krishna? By always thinking of him and becoming his devotees and worship him. And that way, Krishna says he promises that we will actually reach to him without fail. This is very important because the ultimate understanding of Bhagavad Gita is not just theoretically understanding that Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. Well, that's good to know, but the application of Bhagavad Gita, this is a verse actually. What does this verse mean is ultimately, if we, after reading Bhagavad Gita, if we love Krishna, that is actually the perfection of understanding Bhagavad Gita. Our love for Krishna should grow by multitudes. And what is the meaning of love? The meaning of love is rendering service. So we want to render service to Krishna and we want to remember Krishna. And ultimately, when we remember Krishna all the time, when the last moment of our life comes in, because we practice remembering Krishna throughout our life, when the last moment comes, we also remember Krishna. Because it's not easy when someone is leaving the body at the time, lakhs of scorpions biting, that's how the experience of death is. And it's impossible to remember Krishna if we did not practice or if we did not try to remember Krishna throughout our life. It says, life is a preparation and death is an exam. that we spend whole our life actually preparing ourselves, and then at last minute is the exam. How well did we do throughout our life? And Krishna says, if you remember me, then and you become my devotee and you worship me, you will definitely come to me without fail. And Krishna saying, this is my promise. So whole Srimad Bhagavatam after Bhagavad Gita gets over. Bhagavad Gita is an instruction of Krishna to Arjuna. Bhagavad Gita is the manual of life, right? It's a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. And then Srimad Bhagavatam starts, which is actually about Krishna and his devotees. So whole Srimad Bhagavatam, which is divided into 12 cantos, the focus of all these cantos, except 10, which is actually pastimes of Krishna, you see, there is a beautiful elaboration about Krishna's devotees, what they are doing in spirit, what they are doing in the material world, how do they remember Krishna at every moment. So many examples, like today is January 14th. The 14th January, actually today is a day when Bhishma Pitama actually left his body. He had Ichha Mrityu, which means he can leave his body based on his desire whenever he wants to do it. And 14th January, because today is a day when the direction of the sun changes, and it is considered to be very auspicious to leave the body, especially for Gyanis. But Bhishma Pitama actually was a devotee of Krishna. So he actually perfected his life by remembering Krishna at the time and leaving his life. And how did, because he remembered Krishna throughout his life, what happened? When he was there in the Kurukshetra battlefield, lying just alone on the bed of arrows, and Krishna was actually going back to Dwarka. And at that time, Yudhishthir Maharaj actually starts crying, thinking that the whole fight or whole war happened because of him. Right? The whole war. 1 second, I'll switch on the light. He said the whole war happened because of me. And then Krishna understood, oh, after finally Yudhishthir Maharaj won this war field, now he is depressed. I have to take care of the situation. So he asked him, you go and get ready. But Yudhishthira Maharaj says, why? He said, let's go and get ready. And he actually, along with all the Pandavas, come to Bhishma Dev. And Bhishma Dev actually gives instruction to Yudhishthira how to live, how to run the kingdom. But ultimately, actually, this was the arrangement of Krishna, because Bhishma Dev, by the instruction of Krishna, fought against Krishna. So there are 12 Mahajans or 12 greatest personalities, and one of the Mahajan is Bhishma Pitama. And because he remembered Krishna throughout his life, when the final most important moment came, after he gave instruction to Yudhishthira Maharaj, he says, now it's the time has come for me to depart. Let my consciousness be only focused on the beautiful form of Krishna who is standing next to me. And then that's how he leaves the body. This is the perfection of life. We all, one or the other day, the moment will come when we will have to say goodbye from this material world. But to actually remember Krishna and perfect our life in such a way that we remember Krishna throughout our life, so that we say final goodbye, not to actually this body, but to the material world altogether, that I don't want to come back here. Right? So in purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned the most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna. What is the difference between devotee and a pure devotee? A devotee is somehow trying to remember Krishna, but pure devotee is like in so much love with Krishna, he cannot think of anything other than Krishna. And always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. When we wake up, we offer our pranams to Krishna. That because of your mercy, somehow I'm able to breathe today. Krishna, I'm so grateful to you. And when we go to sleep, we offer our Dandavat Pranam to Krishna, saying that I'm so grateful because of you. I was able to eat today. I was able to maintain myself. So that way, every activity we perform, we have to come to that stage of remembering Krishna every moment. And every activity in our throughout our day in 24 hours, we have to arrange in such a way that we cannot think of anything other than Krishna. And if we do that, what is the promise of the Lord? That we will return back to Krishna. We don't have to take the birth in this material world again, and we will see Krishna face to face. That is the most secret knowledge which is spoken to Arjuna, because Arjuna is a dear friend of Krishna. But through the medium of Arjuna, Krishna is actually passing on this message to us. He's sharing that secret to us, that if you follow the footstep of Arjuna, you will also perfect. Prabhupada mentions in the purport, these words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna. The very form with two hands carrying a flute, the bluish boy with the beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. Krishna is so charming, he is so beautiful that when it's not difficult to remember Krishna rather than meditating on some form of in the mind. By the grace of Srila Prabhupada, we have beautiful deities in the temple, and we can actually have nice paintings or nice deities at home, and we remember them every moment. We decorate them, we offer them food. That's how it's so easy to remember Krishna, that one gets attracted to the beautiful form of Krishna, right? One should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi forms. We can remember Lord Vishnu, Narayan, Rama, Varaha, and that's how we should somehow mold our life in remembering Krishna. Like a lot of devotees, what they do when they see the darshan of the Lord, they actually see what a beautiful dress Krishna is wearing, what are the beautiful ornaments Krishna and Srimati Radharani are wearing, and just meditate on that. That's ultimately the most confidential knowledge which Krishna gave to Arjuna. So we will read text 66. This is another important word. These are the two most important verses of Bhagavad Gita. You can say these are the crux of whole Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam raja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami masuchaha. Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. What is the meaning of all religion? Well, the real religion is actually remember Krishna all the time. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. But we have mentally concocted so many religion, that I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I am a man, I am a woman, I am an Indian, I'm an American, I am a Canadian, right? I am a mother, I am a father, I am the daughter. So there are so many misidentification we have tagged onto it, and that's why we are not able to surrender to Krishna. But what is Krishna saying? You come to the true religion. What is the true religion? That Krishna is my mother, Krishna is my father. There is that song, Tumi ho mata pita, Tumi ho bandhu sakha, Tumi ho vidya. That's how the song goes. But basically, everything, Krishna, you are everything to me. And when we come to that conclusion, that is actually true religion. And what is Krishna is talking about? He's not talking about leaving anything. He is asking about accept the fact that I am connected to you. I'm everything for you. And when you that way surrender unto me, I promise whatever difficulties you have, whatever sinful reaction we are carrying from our previous lives, all that will be forgiven. A very important verse. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport, Lord has described various kinds of knowledge. The whole Bhagavad Gita, if you see, Krishna spoke about different kind of knowledge. He talked about process of religion. He mentioned about the knowledge of Supreme Brahman. He mentioned the knowledge of Super Soul, knowledge of different type of orders, statuses of social order, knowledge of the renounced order life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. But now Krishna is saying these are the different kind of religion, and now Krishna is telling leave everything, leave everything. Like a lot of times when you when you be very favorite student of your teacher, then throughout the year they teach so much, and then when the exam comes they say forget about whatever I taught you, just focus on this one. You prepare this thing, only prepare these questions. I'll make sure that you will pass with nice marks. So Krishna spoke about so many aspects of Bhagavad Gita in Bhagavad Gita, and now he is telling, forget everything, just surrender unto me. This is the final instruction. This is the crux of Bhagavad Gita, right? That's what Krishna is telling you. Just simply surrender unto me. That surrender will save you from all sinful reaction. Otherwise, if you perform activities whether you want or you don't want, this material world is going to bind us. But when we do activities which is always surrendering to Krishna, whatever we do in that process of surrender will actually, rather than binding us, will liberate us. Right? Like in 7th chapter, Krishna was talking about only one who has become free from all sinful reaction can take the worship of Lord Krishna. One who wants to actually worship Krishna, he has to be sin free. But one may think that unless one is free from all sinful reaction, he cannot take to surrendering process, because oh, I have to be free from disease, I have to free from sin, then only I will surrender to Krishna. And that is being clarified here. It is said that even if one is not free from all sinful reaction, simply by process of surrendering to Sri Krishna, he is automatically free. There is a beautiful example about Mrigrari. There is a beautiful example about Ratnakar. Ratnakar was a hunter. He was killing animals half dead. When Narada Muni came to the forest, he said, why are you doing like that? He said, I have to maintain my family. He says, go and ask your family, because you are going to incur sin out of it and you will have to suffer. You ask your family, will they share that karma? They said, we will not share our karma. That's your responsibility. So Ratnakar came back to Narada Muni. What should I do now? He said, you chant the name of Ram. He was not able to chant the name of Ram. Then he was able to chant Mara, 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 Mara. And Narada Muni said, okay, continue doing that. And after some time, when Narada Muni comes, what he sees, there was an ant hill. And he is hearing the voice Ram, Ram, Ram. And he puts the water, and then he sees, oh, this is Ratnakar. And now he was able to chant the name of Lord Ram, because his life was so sinful that he wasn't even able to chant the name of Ram. But he followed the process of surrender. And that's how he became purified, and he was able to chant, rather than Mara, he was able to chant Lord Ram. This is the power. This is the power of surrendering to Guru and the representative of Guru. In this case, he surrendered to Narada Muni, who guided him how to remember Lord Ram. Right? There is no need to strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reaction. Krishna will make sure he is taking care of it. According to devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principle that will lead ultimately to devotional service to the Lord. One may perform particular occupational duty according to his position in social order. But if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. We do everything else. We take care of our family, we take care of our job, we take care of our responsibilities. But ultimately, if we do not come to the principle that I want to surrender to Krishna, it's useless. But one learns how to surrender to Krishna in that mood, performs various activities. That is the perfection of life. And that way, Krishna will protect us from all the difficulties. There is no need of thinking how one should keep this body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. When Prahlad Maharaj was being thrown from the cliff, when he was thrown into the pit filled with poisonous snakes, he just surrendered to Krishna, and none of these things actually affect him. Krishna protected him, right? Even after being dropped from the cliff, Krishna protected him, and nothing happened to Prahlad Maharaj. Holika, who was actually given a boon by Lord Brahma that she will not be burnt by fire. And here Prahlad Maharaj was sitting in a lab, and the Hiranyakashipu wanted him to be burned because Holika will not be burned because she has a vow. She has a boon by Lord Brahma. But what happened? Holika actually got burned. Nothing happened to Prahlad Maharaj. Just because he was surrendered soul to the Lord Vishnu, and he protected. There are really different processes of religion and purificative process by cultivation of knowledge, meditation, and yoga. But one who surrenders unto Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. Just we have to chant Hare Krishna and we have to surrender to Krishna. We have to surrender to Krishna, and Krishna will make sure he will take care of us. One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. Krishna's deities we see so beautiful, so many beautiful ornaments Krishna wears, so many types of different jewelry Krishna wears, different kind of mukut he wears, and that should attract our heart. What is the meaning of Krishna? One who is all attractive. One who becomes attracted by the beautiful, all powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. When Sant Tukaram, who is actually the saint of Maharashtra, he would write abhangas, he would write poetry glorifying Lord Chaitanya, who will glorify Vitthalaji. Vitthalaji actually none other than Lord Chaitanya. His power of meditation, his power of surrender was so high that when his wife would cook the meal for him and then she wanted to find out where is he, she would put her ear onto the stone, and whichever stone will say Vitthala Vitthala, he must be on that mountain. That was his power of deep devotion, that even the stones would vibrate with Vittal's name. That's the purpose of Krishna consciousness. We have to remember Krishna in such a die-hard need that Krishna, without you, there is no one else who can provide me shelter. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full consciousness is the most confidential part of the knowledge. And this is the essence of whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma yogi, empirical philosophers, mystic, and devotees are all called transcendent. But one who is a pure devotee is the best of all. Because ultimately, we have to know the process of surrender, which and this process of surrender is so sublime, so sweet. By the will of Krishna, we can actually be delivered from this material world. That's actually the purpose of surrendering to Krishna. We will read verse 67. Idam te na tapashkaya nabhakritya kadachana na chashurshve sorry na chashushrusve vachyam na cha mam yo abhi suyati. Krishna says this confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. This knowledge will not penetrate to the people who are actually envious of me, who are not devoted, who do not have bhakti. For them, anything out of this devotional aspect. So Prabhupada is mentioning persons who have not undergone the austerities of religious process, who never attempted devotional service in Krishna consciousness, who have not tended a pure devotee, and especially those who are conscious of Krishna only as a historical personality, or who are envious of greatness of Krishna, should not be told this most confidential part of knowledge, because they can never understand why should I worship Krishna. And when we bring Bhagavad Gita, they feel, no, I don't want to read Bhagavad Gita. Why should I actually think about Krishna? He created a war. There was a fight happening. Because of the envy they have, they can't understand Krishna's magnanimity. It is, however, sometimes found that even demonic persons who are envious of Krishna, worshipping Krishna in a different way, take to the profession of explaining Bhagavad Gita in different way to make business. But anyone who desires actually to understand Krishna must avoid such commentaries of Bhagavad Gita. There are a lot of commentaries of Bhagavad Gita where people have no love for Krishna, but they wrote commentaries on Bhagavad Gita just to get the name and fame and money. We should not read such Bhagavad Gitas. Actually, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is not understandable to those who are sensuous, who think that, oh, the purpose of this life is to enjoy. Even if one is not sensuous, but is strictly following one's disciplines enjoined in Vedic literature, if he is not a devotee, he cannot understand Krishna. One has to love Krishna to understand his beautiful personality. And when one poses himself as a devotee of Krishna but is not engaged in Krishna conscious activities, also cannot understand Krishna. There are a lot of people who showcase, just show off that I worship Krishna, but they have no love for Krishna. That is also useless, right? There are many persons who envy Krishna because he is explained in Bhagavad Gita that he is the supreme and nothing above or beyond him. Why him? I am great. And that's why they are so envious of Krishna. They don't want to read or they do not want to glorify Krishna. Such people should not be told about Bhagavad Gita. That's the whole idea Krishna is telling to Arjuna. Verse 68, we'll read. Ya idam paramam guyam mad bhakteshva abhidyashati bhaktim mai param kritva mam vishyati asamshaya. Krishna saying, for one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. This is another secret. What is that? For one who explains the supreme secret to devotees, not just keeping this knowledge with us, but actually sharing this sublime process, sharing this beautiful aspect of Krishna consciousness, sharing the beautiful message of Bhagavad Gita to everyone is very dear to Krishna. And for such a person, the pure devotional service is guaranteed because Krishna is so obliged by that person who wants to give Krishna to others. And that's what Prabhupada did. He traveled so far to come to America to give the message of Bhagavad Gita. One time, he went to UK, London, and then there was an envious reporter. He asked, why have you come here, Swamiji? So Prabhupada said, when you came to India, you took everything, but you forgot the most important thing. I've come here to give you the message of Bhagavad Gita, which you forgot to take. Right? So Prabhupada is writing in the purport. Generally, it is advised that the Bhagavad Gita be discussed among the devotees only. For those who are not devotees will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad Gita. But those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad Gita as it should not try to explain Bhagavad Gita whimsically and become an offender. Bhagavad Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. I was just the other day reaching out, calling a lot of guests who actually came to visit our temple during Janmashtami. And when I was calling them and asking them, we are starting a new Bhagavad Gita series. Would you be interested? And they were so interested. Yes, we want to hear Bhagavad Gita. When is it starting? So there are so many souls waiting to actually be attracted to Krishna. We should use each and every opportunity we have to actually share the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita to people who are interested to know about Krishna. Right? So we are on verse 69. Nacha tasman manusheshu kaschin me priya kritmaha kritamaha bhavita nacha me tasmad anya priya taro bhuvi. There is no servant in the world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Who is more dear to Krishna? Krishna is telling, who is the most dear to me, who is spreading the message of Bhagavad Gita everywhere. He is most dear to me. And that is the secret of being dear to Krishna. Verse 70. Adyeshate chaya imam dar धर्मयं संवदम् अवयो ज्ञानयज्ञेन तेनाहम् इष्टास्याम् इति मे मतिः. Krishna saying, I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of our worship me by his intelligence. What is Krishna is telling to Arjuna? Whoever is reading this conversation which we are having right now and worships me by his intelligence, he ultimately comes to the conclusion that Krishna has to be worshipped. Text 71. Shraddhavan anusuyascha shrunuyadapi yo naraha sopi mukta suballokan prapnuyat punya karmanam. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reaction. Not only just by surrendering, but one who listens with faith that yes, by studying Bhagavad Gita, by hearing Bhagavad Gita, one day my life will be transformed. He will become or she will become free from sinful reaction and attains to the auspicious planet where pious dwell. So Prabhupada is writing in 67th verse of this chapter, the Lord explained, forbid the Gita's being spoken to those who are envious. Don't tell this message of Bhagavad Gita to envious people. But Bhagavad Gita is for devotees only. But it so happens that sometimes a devotee of the Lord will hold open class, and in that class, not all the students are expected to be devotees. Why do such persons hold open class? It is explained here that although not everyone is a devotee, still there are many men who are not envious of Krishna. They have faith in him as the supreme personality of Godhead. So they may not be completely there, but somehow they have faith in Krishna. That's why we should give the message of Bhagavad Gita. If such persons hear from a bona fide devotee about the Lord, the result is that they become at once free from all sinful reaction, because they do not have a complete faith, but at the same time they have faith that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And that way they will also become sin free. Like in this case, I was talking about Ratnakar, he was killing, he was sinful. But because he had faith, what Narad Muni is telling is correct. He followed it and he perfected actually. His life became sinless. Therefore, simply by hearing Bhagavad Gita, even a person who does not try to be a pure devotee attains the result of righteous activities. That's why sometimes when people are not interested to take Bhagavad Gita, we ask them, you take the Bhagavad Gita, keep it with you. Even bringing Bhagavad Gita at home, just keeping it purifies. Thus, a pure devotee of the Lord gives everyone a chance to become free from sinful reaction and to become a devotee of the Lord. Generally, those who are free from sinful reactions, those who are righteous, very easily take to Krishna consciousness. You see, there are pious people who they will accept Bhagavad Gita and they will read also because their life is filled with piety. But people who are sinful, it's very difficult to convince them. Like for an example, if someone eats non-veg, you give them Bhagavad Gita. No, I can't touch Bhagavad Gita. Why? Oh, because I eat non-veg. That does not the Bhagavad Gita does not become contaminated. No, I don't want to have it. Because the life is sinful. The word punya karmanam is very significant here. This refers to the performance of great sacrifice like the Ashwamedha Yajna mentioned in Vedic literature. Those who are righteous in performing devotional service, but who are not pure, can attain the planetary systems of Pole Star or Dhruv. So, people who do not perfect their life, but they are pious, and somehow it takes little bit Bhagavad Gita, they actually take birth in the planets like Pole Star or Dhruv Loka, where Dhruv Maharaj is presiding, right? Text 72. कश्चिद् एताश्रुतं पार्था त्वैके त्वैकाग्रेण चेतसा कश्चित् अज्ञानसम्मोहा प्राणस्तास्ते धनञ्जया. O son of Pratha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusion now dispelled? What is Krishna telling? After I told you all this Bhagavad Gita, whole Bhagavad Gita, we are almost there now. Did you hear it with the attentive mind? Did you hear properly? And is there confusion? Is there illusion be clear now? The Lord was acting as a spiritual master for Arjuna. Therefore, it was his duty to inquire from Arjuna whether he understood the whole Bhagavad Gita in its proper perspective. Because Krishna is telling, okay, I spoke whole Bhagavad Gita, but did you understand? If not, the Lord was ready to re-explain at any time the whole Bhagavad Gita if so required. Oh, if you didn't understand, I'll again start. Actually, anyone who hears Bhagavad Gita from a bona fide spiritual master like Krishna or his representative will find all his ignorances dispelled. Complete clarity one gets when after finishing or after reading Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not an ordinary book written by a poet or fiction writer. It is spoken by Supreme Lord Krishna himself. And if any person who is fortunate enough to hear these teachings of Krishna through the bona fide spiritual representative is sure to become liberated person and get out of darkness of ignorance. It gives a complete clarity. 73. Arjuna Vacha Nashto Moha Smritir Labda Tvat Prasadan Maya Chuta Sthitosmi Gata Sandeha Karishe Vachanam Tava. Now Arjuna is answering to that. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have a complete clarity. My consciousness is not cluttered like clouds. Now I can see the sun clearly in the sky. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instruction. Krishna, I am ready to fight now. Prabhupada is writing in the purport, the constitutional position of living entity represented by Arjuna is that he has to act according to the orders of Supreme Lord. After understanding Bhagavad Gita, after reading Bhagavad Gita, one should come to a conclusion that I want to surrender my life to Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that the actual position of living entity is the eternal servant of Lord. We are supposed to serve Krishna. But because we forgot that principle, we are trying to serve so many things in this world, our relatives, our boss, our country, our houses, our cars, so many things we serve. But we forget that actual real service we can perform is to Krishna. He has to serve either the illusory Maya. The person is either serving Maya or Krishna. There is nothing in between. And if one serves the Supreme Lord, then he does not serve Maya. And if one serves Maya, he is going in the cycle of birth. He or she is going in the cycle of birth and death. An illusion, the living entity serving in the material world is bound by lust and desire. Yet he thinks of himself as the master of the world. We think, this is my house, this is my car, this is my property, this is what, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. That's why we are here, birth after birth, tied up in the material world. But when one realizes that I am not the master, Krishna is the master, so I am here to not fulfill my desires, but actually perfect my life, remembering Krishna. The living entity thinks that he is no longer a conditioned soul, but God. We are pseudo gods. We are trying to pretend ourselves to be pseudo god when we say, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. The word moha is very important in this verse. Moha refers to which is opposed to knowledge. Actually, the real knowledge is that understanding that every living being is eternally a servant of the Lord. But instead of thinking oneself in that position, we think that we are not the servant, we are the master of this world. And that's why we want to control everything. And that's why we struggle and we suffer in this material world. What is real Krishna consciousness is to follow everything based on Krishna's instruction. We do everything by whatever our mind is telling, which is not good for us. But what we have to come to a conclusion is that whatever Krishna is telling, I'm going to follow that. Whatever Krishna's desire is, that's what has to be fulfilled. And he is my true friend, because he is taking care of every living entity. He's like the father of all the living entities. He is the controller of time. He is the he is the person who has all the opulence and potencies, and Krishna can give it to me if I become an obedient servant. And one who does not accept it, that person serves the Maya, right? So what is Arjuna doing is, Arjuna is hearing Bhagavad Gita from Krishna and surrendering to him. He could understand that Krishna is not only my friend, but he is a supreme personality of Godhead. So he studied Bhagavad Gita and understood who is Krishna. And after his perfect knowledge, he naturally surrendered to Krishna. And when he surrendered to Krishna, all his clutter, all his doubts were clarified. And now it was Krishna's plan to reduce the unnecessary increase of population, because actually before even Mahabharata happened, Bhumi Devi went to Brahmaji saying that there are so many wrong kings who are actually destroying so many things, creating so much of problem on earth. Please help me. And he took her to Krishna, and Krishna said, I'll appear in this world. So Krishna actually arranged this whole battlefield so that the envious kings should all be destroyed. And again, the earth will have good people in it. Right? Verse 74. Sanjaya vacha iti aham vasudevasya parthasya cha mahatmanaha samvadam imam ashrausam Adbhutam Romaharshanam. Sanjaya is telling to Dhritarashtra that I have heard the conversation of these two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna. And so wonderful is that message that my hairs are standing on end. Sanjaya became so happy because he had the benediction that he can see the whole battlefield of Kurukshetra. And this entire studies were related to the heart of Sanjaya by the grace of spiritual master Vyasdev actually showered his blessings on Sanjaya that he could see and he could hear the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna which is happening in the war field. And he explained everything. The whole conversation between these great souls, Arjuna and Krishna, took place. Right? It was wonderful because Supreme Personality Godhead was speaking about himself and his energy to the living entity. Arjuna, a great devotee of the Lord. If we follow in footsteps of Arjuna to understand Krishna, then our life will be happy. Because it's not that Krishna is not speaking this Bhagavad Gita to us, or he is only speaking to Arjuna. Actually, when we read Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking to us. And Sanjaya realized it. He became so happy, and he narrated the whole conversation to Dhritarashtra. And now he is telling that wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, there is victory. Right? Wherever there is Arjuna, that's where the victory is going to happen. Verse 75. Vyasaprasagda Shruta Shrutavan etad guyam aham param yogam yogeshwarat krishnan sakshat sakshat kathayata swayam. What is Sanjay saying? By the mercy of Vyas, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from master of the mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. Vyasdev was the spiritual master of Sanjaya, and Sanjaya admits that it was by Vyasdev's mercy he could understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means one has to understand Krishna not directly but through the medium of Guru. Guru is very important. Even Krishna himself took the Guru. So one has to have a Guru in his or her life for deeper understanding of Krishna consciousness. And spiritual master is the transfer medium through which actually this whole information is narrated. And when the spiritual master is bona fide, not any guru, then one can hear Bhagavad Gita directly as Arjuna heard it. Right? Krishna's instruction explicitly stated in Bhagavad Gita, surrender unto Krishna. One who does so is the topmost yogi. Narada is a direct disciple of Krishna and spiritual master of Vyasdev. Therefore, Vyas is a bona fide as Arjuna because he comes in disciplic succession, and Sanjaya is the direct disciple of Vyasdev. Vyasdev is none other than Krishna, Lord Vishnu's incarnation. Therefore, by the grace of Vyasadev, Sanjaya's senses were purified and he could see and hear Krishna directly. One who directly hears Krishna can understand this confidential knowledge. If one does not come to the disciplic succession, he cannot hear Krishna. One has to actually follow a guru who can guide instruction on Bhagavad Gita. And in Bhagavad Gita, we studied Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga through Krishna. And it is understood that Arjuna was fortunate enough to understand Krishna directly. And by the grace of the Vyasadev, Sanjaya was able to hear Krishna directly. And actually, there is no difference between hearing directly from Krishna and hearing directly from Krishna via the Guru. In this case, Vyasadev. Because spiritual master, the Guru, is a representative of Vyasadev. That's why whenever in ISKCON, whenever some person gives the class, they sit on Vyasasana because they represent Vyas. It's not that they are Vyas, they represent Vyas. And that's how Sanjaya was able to actually hear whole Bhagavad Gita. 18.76 Rajan Smritya Samsmritya Samvadam Imam Adbhutam Keshavorjanayo Punyam Rishyami Cha Muhur. O king, I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Who is speaking? Sanjaya is speaking to Dhritarashtra. I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment because Sanjaya became so ecstatic hearing the whole Bhagavad Gita session and he became so happy. He's so thrilled. The understanding of Bhagavad Gita is so transcendental. Anyone who becomes conversant with the topics of Arjuna and Krishna becomes righteous and he cannot forget such talks. He wants to talk about it. What is Bhagavad Gita? It's a love letter between Krishna and Arjuna. In other words, one who hears the Gita from right source directly from Krishna attains full Krishna consciousness. The result of Krishna consciousness is that one becomes increasingly enlightened and he enjoys life with thrill. Okay, 18.77 Tatsha samsmritya samsmritya rupam ati adbhutam harehe vismayo me mahan rajan rishyami cha punah punaha. O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more and rejoice again and again. This is the byproduct, this is the conclusion. When someone hears Bhagavad Gita attentively, he is in so much of love with Krishna, and that is what we see here Sanjaya is experiencing. He is actually sharing how joyful he is, how happy he is hearing about Krishna. It appears that Sanjaya also, by the grace of Vyas, could see the universal form Krishna exhibited to Arjuna, which happened in 10th chapter. It is, of course, said that Lord Krishna had never exhibited such a form before. It was exhibited to Arjuna only. Yet some great devotees could also see the universal form of Krishna when it was shown to Arjuna, and Vyas was one of them. When Krishna showed his universal form, some devotees see that, and here it is mentioned Arjuna saw as well as Vyas they saw. And Sanjaya was also one of that person who saw that universal form. He is one of the great devotees of the Lord and he is considered to be powerful incarnation of Krishna who Vyasdev. Vyasdev disclosed this to his disciple Sanjaya who remembered that wonderful form of Krishna exhibited to Arjuna and enjoyed it repeatedly. He is in so much of love to Krishna. Hearing this whole Bhagavad Gita, text 78. This is the last verse. Yatra yogeshwara krishno yatra partho dhanurdaraha tatra tatra shrir vijayo bhuti dhruvanitir matir mama. What is saying? Yatra yogeshwara krishna, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the super archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Sanjaya is now telling to Dhritarashtra, buddy, there, wherever there is Krishna and wherever there is going to be Arjuna, there is going to be victory there. There is no possibility of your sons to win. So Bhagavad Gita began with inquiry from Dhritarashtra. He was thinking that his sons are going to win because his son's side he has Bhishma, he has Drona and Karna, and he was thinking, oh, definitely my Kauravas are going to win. But Sanjaya, after seeing Krishna, told the king, you thinking of victory, but my opinion is that Krishna, wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, that side is the great fortune and that side will win. And directly he confirmed Dhritarashtra that don't expect victory. Your are going to lose. Victory will be certainly on Arjuna's side because Krishna is on his side. And Krishna's acceptance of the charioteer of Arjuna was an exhibition of another opulence where Krishna is showing his Bhakta Vatsala form. And Krishna is full of all opulence and renunciation is one of them. And Krishna is the master of Renan. The fight was actually between Duryodhana and Yudhishthira. Arjuna was fighting on behalf of elder brother Yudhishthira. But because Krishna and Arjuna were on the side of Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira's victory is guaranteed. The battle was to decide who would rule the world. And Sanjaya is predicting that the power is going to be transferred to Yudhishthira, not Duryodhana. And it is predicted here that Yudhishthira, after gaining victory in the battle, would flourish more and more because not only was he righteous and pious, but he was also a strict moralist because he was on the side of Dharma. There are many less intelligent persons who take Bhagavad Gita to the discussion of topic between two friends on the battlefield. But such a book cannot be a scripture. Some may protest that Krishna incited Arjuna to fight, which is immoral, but the reality of situation is clearly stated. Bhagavad Gita is a supreme instruction of morality. It will never teach the message of immorality. And that's what is mentioned in 9th chapter, in 34th verse, Man mana bhava mad bhakta. One must become a devotee of Krishna, and essence of all religion is to surrender to Krishna. Sarva dharman parityaja, we just read it. The instruction of Bhagavad Gita considers the supreme process of religion and morality. All other processes may be purifying and may lead to the process, but the last instruction of Gita and the last word, all morality and religion, is actually to surrender unto Krishna. When Yudhishthira Maharaj was told that you say Ashwadama is dead, he was hesitant. And that's when his chariot actually started touching the earth. Before that, his chariot was not touching because he thought, how can I say a lie? So the real morality is not the mundane morality, but actually understanding the instruction of Krishna. And Bhagavad Gita, we can understand to realize oneself to philosophical speculation and meditation is one process, but fully surrender to Krishna is the most important thing. In Bhagavad Gita, 5 principal subject matter were discussed. Krishna, which is who is the supreme personality of Godhead, this whole material nature, the living entities, which is us, Jiva, and the eternal time. These are the five subjects of Bhagavad Gita. What are these five subjects? Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, material nature, living entities, eternal time, and all kind of activities, which is karma. All is dependent on Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. All conception of absolute truth, impersonal Brahman, local Paramatma, and other trans concept exist within the understanding of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who are we? We are pure. We are the souls. We are smaller part of Krishna. Like sun, Krishna is like a sun. We are like the rays of the sun. And when we understand that we are so minute, we want to surrender ourselves to Krishna, right? And in the living entity is situated between the two energy, because he belongs to the superior energy lord. He has particle of independence. We have little independence which has to be utilized to remember Krishna. So that's how we actually finish 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita today. Any questions or comments, Mataji? If not, we will continue next week. We will pick up another book called as Nectar of Instructions, which is actually considered as a very important book talking about how can we attain Krishna. When Krishna is telling that we have to surrender to Krishna, how does that process of surrender looks like? With that, we would like to end today, Mataji. We will continue next week. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Shila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for joining. I'll